Can biorobots become equal to a human? We discussed formation of a parvula, in particular formation of a fetus, an embryo, and interactions of parvulas. Biorobots are mentioned in about 240 paragraphs of the fifth volume of Iissiidiology Fundamentals. There is the assertion that biorobots couldn't form their civilizations, couldn't become protoforms, not human self-consciousness forms, because they have problems with parvulas. They haven't indeed. They have problems with intellect, if meaning intellect as possibility to draw information from no time continuum, NVK. So they would be able to organize a civilization, but that civilization would be still distinctive in being similar to a city, a strong megalopolis with all its structures, with all its details. It is written that the most important barrier for biorobots to be able to realize sophisticated psychomental functions is lack of real opportunity to form their own human and, most importantly, the unique DNA molecule. And then it continues, any of their reactions won't be supplied with spherum forms, conceptions, and so on. The question is, what is required to create the DNA molecule or any analog of it to create real realizational forms, which would belong to any type of Birvulyartnost? Originally, for that purpose, the presence of Praconsciousness, Protoconsciousness, Superconsciousness, Ultraconsciousness, Supraconsciousness, collective subconsciousness is required. In corresponding condition of exhiberation, they could start production of forms, which would provide for them the synthesis of experience related to their synthesis scheme. Such civilizations lack of collective intelligence on the level of collective subconsciousness or supraconsciousnesses. Because the civilizations have a snap just only to consciousness of any part of humanity. That's why it is impossible to form DNA and various interrelations meant by us as neural systems of biorobots. Their formation requires biological constituent which would represent the mechanism of interaction between that engine, that device, even if it is the neural device, with NVK. Again, we cannot create neural device because the components which support the connection to NVK should be present in every neuron. A biorobot hasn't got that connection. It has just only an embedded program. Even if a program is complicated and extensive, but it remains to be just a program. However, if providing that mechanism, that artificial structure, with natural intellect, we could say that the system would work no matter whose head would be placed, either dogs or other animals. In my question, I have meant the creation of exactly mixtumnate forms, belongs to third and fourth dimensional diapason of space-time that might be considered as forms by us. During the discussion, I have comprehended that these relations with subconsciousness, supraconsciousness, Ultraconsciousness should be established in the collective consciousness of humanity in this case. Then we will have the possibility to create mixtumnea forms by ourselves, won't we? Then it will be some person or human being. In other words, will we be able to create not biorobots, but real human forms? Why should we create something if all of us are already originated and are present there? The question is that people want to produce living beings and they produce biorobots. There are other scenarios where our civilization follows the path of of various technological advances. Meanwhile, the most important component is kept, that is the human brain, meaning an organism may suffer from any destroying transformations, aging, degradation, and so on. In such cases, it is possible to change different parts of body, keeping the brain safe. But they should take into consideration that brain is exposed to very powerful mutations, if being incompatible to the luvumический, a real human type of Birvulyartnost, the luvumический synthesis scheme. Even if replacing brain of a self-centered human to biological engine, this brain would come down very soon too. It would come down because of start of dissociation process. It would get involved in destroying interrelations with surrounding reality in relation to the luvumический synthesis scheme. So it doesn't matter whether brain would die, who cares? Selfish, aggressive, and other people of this sort who would realize themselves by means of the artificial systems of manifestation, artificial bodies, wouldn't live long, because their brains would wear out very severely and very quickly, would descend to incapable state. Therefore, Alzheimer's disease, dementia, and so forth would come. Let's conclude. The first matter was, is it possible to create biorobots which would be of our human Birvulyartnost and be more independent forms? In order to create such independent forms, it is necessary that collective subconsciousness, supraconsciousness, and so on, ultraconsciousness, which support RNA, DNA, microtubules, maintainers of interrelations between body and self-consciousness, which ensure all this biological complexity connected to information. It is beyond the control of scientists anyway in any nearest future. Some development of it goes on probably, but as you have said, invention of biorobots means the dead end. For some time to maintain brain is possible, but if movement to not luvumическое protoformal development direction keeps going, degradation and whatever would happen. There are some significant matters of power sources. For that purposes, civilization should explore the power sources, which are inexhaustible and which do not depend on variant of switching off. Power sources of a biological form are refocusings, biochemical processes. Yes, a synthetic source lacks of such power indeed. It is required to think continuously of power support of this artificial form. Artificial intellect lacks of Birvulyartnost as such. Birvulyartnost can't be made artificially. Rather, synthetic intellect belongs to luvumический type of Birvulyartnost partially by its mechanism, because it is the creature of us. It belongs to our type of Birvulyartnost as much as a cup, vase, or any other thing.